long ago. And here we are tonight with him as a new national group leader. So Dan, good evening.
Good evening, Wes. Good evening, everybody on the call. Great to be here, and well done for getting on, everyone.
Well, it's really good to have you here. And Dan, many congratulations. I know it was a couple of months back now, but many congratulations to you on an incredible achievement. I think there's less than a dozen people have ever achieved national level in UW, and you are now one of those people, which is amazing. Do you remember, you probably do remember, when was your SGL promotion then?
It was May 2023, so it was 2.5 years to NGL from SGL.
Nice. Okay, well that is amazing. We're going to delve into that a little bit deeper during the course of this evening. But really, really good to have you here tonight. Now, of course, it's not just congratulations to you on achieving National Group Leader. The fact that one of the reasons we couldn't get on as quick as we might have liked is because you had another bit of great news as well. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, so on the 23rd of November, we welcomed our first child, Harriet, to the family. So we got a 4-month-old baby girl. And my goal was to get to NGL before she was born. That was the goal, that was the plan. But she had other ideas, Harriet did, and came about 2 weeks early. So, it's been a busy time.
That's 2 bonus weeks is the way I would look at that. That's amazing. And she's doing well now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's doing great. And do you know what? It's made me so grateful, more grateful than ever before for this opportunity. Obviously, we talk about time freedom, financial freedom, the ability to own your own life because of residual income, where you're not having to trade your time for money. And it's only really since welcoming Harriet into the world and becoming a dad that it's really made me realise more than ever the value of what we have with UW. The fact that both me and Amy get to be there, stay at home every single day and both be with her and fully present as parents. It's just incredible. And it's made me more passionate about this bit. I didn't think I could be more passionate about UW and this amazing income opportunity, but it's made me even more determined and more excited to share this with other people, because it's helped us achieve a freedom that most people don't even know is actually possible. So yeah, it's exciting.
And you've done it at a pretty decent age. I mean, how old are you?
I'm 29.
29. Did it before you're 30. So that made you the youngest ever national group leader.
Oh, thank you. Well, determined to beat you.
Well, you did. In fact, the youngest ever national, which is pretty amazing. I can't remember what age I did it. I did tell you once, and I was like maybe 33 or something like that. I can't remember now, but it was somewhere in my 30s. I'm just going to share with you a little video, Dan, actually. You may not remember it. But you and I, when we chatted on the big night in after you got to senior group leader in, I guess it was May in 2023, we were kind of bantering over whether you were the youngest ever SGL. And I shared the bad news with you that you weren't. But I'm going to share that clip with you now. See if you remember this. You're not bothering being the youngest ever SGL because actually you weren't. There was actually 2 or 3 younger than you, one of whom, although it's a bloody long time ago, was actually me.
But you had to get that in there, didn't you?
No. But I don't want you to be the youngest SGL. I want you to be the youngest NGL and NNL. And sure enough, you were. How comes you don't look any older, Dan? Like, you still look as fresh-faced as you did there.
Thank you.
No, that is, I mean, I know what it takes to get there. It's some achievement. So congratulations to you. And of course, all of your team, many of whom I can see on this evening. And it's good to have so many there. But you've also set a new standard for people maybe of the younger generation. You've kind of proved what's possible, because for those people that aren't aware, when you achieve national group leader, there's like a minimum base floor of residual income that's paid on your group of £7,000 a month. I got that right, didn't I?
Yeah.
Good. So a minimum group residual of 7,000 a month. Now that's before your personal residual income as well. So if you've got a couple of hundred customers, as I think you have, Dan, then that's probably another, I don't know, 1,200, 1,500 or something like that a month on top. And then, of course, there's the leadership development bonuses, there's the GRI bonuses, there's the QD star bonuses and all that kind of stuff. So it is an incredible, incredible place to be in terms of having that kind of security of income, isn't it?
It is, and just to put that into context, and I don't mind talking about money because it's important people understand what's on the table, because it's so easy to underestimate just what is on the table with this amazing opportunity. It really, really is. So I got to NGL 4 months ago, 16 weeks ago, and in the last 4 months, I've earned over £90,000 from UW since getting to NGL. £90,000 in the last 4 months. So yes, you get the minimum GRI floor of £7,000, but as Wes has just explained, with all the other income on top, you can earn yourself some really good money. And remember, that's whilst being at home, being fully present as a new father to Harriet. So I don't know of anything else out there where you can earn that kind of money, but have the time freedom as well. It is amazing. But you know what? It's possible for absolutely everybody on this call that's willing to put the work in. That's not just going to happen by accident. That you've got to put the hard work in to get there, and you've got to be teachable and coachable and willing to learn and willing to pay a price, which we'll probably talk a bit about tonight. But this opportunity is on the table for everybody. Anybody that's prepared to go and do that.
Well, so it's kind of two very great examples or new standards that you set, not just for the younger generation. I know there's people on here, I can see Sean on here that did double promotion all the way up to group leader recently, aged 21, and he's now gunning to get to national before you. You've set that as a thing where someone like that age, and I know there's plenty of others in their early 20s, who can look at that and go, cool, well, he's done it, I can do it too. But you've also said it in terms of the speed that you've done it. But it didn't start off fast, because I want to be really clear with people. I'm sure you're happy to share this. You joined at what age was it? 19?
Yeah, so I was 19 when I joined. Yeah.
So you were 19 when you joined, and then you got to team leader in a relatively decent time. But then you decided to sit there for a few years, and you stayed team leader for 5 years, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So 5 years into UW, I was still a team leader. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like senior team leader, what a big deal that would be to hit that, because it just seemed impossible at the time. But I remember it clear as anything. January 2021, we was in lockdown at the time. I think it was like the 3rd lockdown. And I remember because the January kickoff events was all on Zoom for the first time ever. And I remember watching a series of those, and I made a decision in January 2021 that things were going to be different. Like this was going to be it. That was like the line in the sand moment. And I'd urge everybody on the call, one of the biggest keys, I believe, to success in UW, if you listen to anybody's journey, the bit where things change is when they make a decision. And there's a famous saying that it's in your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped, and it's so true. So if you're on the call tonight and you've maybe decided to take this seriously or to give it a good go, but there's a difference between maybe decided and really making a decision, making a commitment, and that's what I did in January 2021. And later that year I hit STL. 8 months after that I hit GL, and 8 months after that I hit SGL. So it just goes to show, the past doesn't determine the future. Where you are in your business today does not have to determine the next year, 2 years, 3 years. You can have a totally different trajectory of business growth if you make a decision and then go out there and take the massive action.
I think that's one of the things I really like about your journey and your story, Dan, is that I think for people watching, if you'd have just joined 4 years ago and then done team leader, senior team leader, group leader, senior group leader, national group, people could have put you on that thing of, oh, he's just a superhero, he's just one of those, he's just that 1 in a million person. But because you like many people on this call, you joined and then you got basically stuck at a level for 5 years. As you said, you got stuck at team leader for 5 years. It kind of shows you're human and that there was something that you then had to do to turn it around. It wasn't just, it didn't come natural. It wasn't just easy from day one. That I think that's something that people should really take hold of. As you say, it's possible for anyone, irrespective of their age, their background, etc., etc. But I know that when we talked last time, you know, you shared, and I hope you don't mind sharing again, because there's probably, you know, at least half the people or more that weren't on that call because they're kind of newer to the business. But what was it that turned around for you then? I think there was something around your consistency and how many people you, like a minimum number of people you decided to talk to a day. What was it that turned it around for you?
Yeah, well, a number of things. There's a couple of different things which it'd be good to talk about actually. But in terms of the consistency, that's one of the things that I made a commitment to. You know, I made a commitment that every single day, I made a 363-day commitment. I thought I'd give myself 2 days off out of the year. But I made myself a 363-day commitment to speaking to at least 2 people every single day about our income opportunity. So inviting them to take a look at what we do. And that was it. I was going to speak to a minimum of 2 people literally every single day. So whatever else I had on, whether I was busy, you know, whatever it was I was doing, if I was out of the house all day and didn't even have a minute, I was going to find that couple of minutes that I needed to speak to a minimum of 2 people every day. Now, the key word in that is a minimum. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, I've done me 2, right, you know, I'm done there. So some days that might be speaking to 10 people a day, it might be 20 people a day, it might be 30 people a day. But the key was I didn't miss a day. Even on the busiest of days where I didn't have the time to do anything in UW, the minimum I did was speak to 2 people every day. And I'll let you into a little secret what happens when you start to do that really consistently. So you start to get really busy. You start to have a lot of people joining your team. You know, you start to have more people joining than you can possibly support one-to-one and help get started. But then what a lot of people start doing then is they stop doing their 2 a day minimum because they're so busy supporting and working with the new people that get started. But one of the biggest keys, and someone gave me this secret, who's very successful in UW, I remember him, I was doing well. You know, we'd sort of had a bit of a breakthrough and we was recruiting people and getting people going. And they said to me, whatever it is you're doing, just keep doing it and keep doing more of it. Don't stop now. Like, just keep adding to it. And that's one of the things. So sometimes when we get really busy, doing UW activity, maybe that's supporting calls, helping people get going, it might be easy to miss doing your 2 a day. But the key is to keep doing that because that's how you build that momentum. You know, that's how you build really that pipeline. And I'll give you a little example of this. So after Harriet was born, or around the time she was born, I was really, really busy and I recruited a lot of new partners, like in the first couple of weeks of her being here. But I wasn't actively prospecting a lot because obviously I was busy adjusting to a new baby in the household. But a lot of the people that joined were people that I'd spoken to previously. So when you consistently speak to people every single day about this business, some people join now, but recruiting is a process, not an event. You're filling your pipeline for down the road. And there's people there that are going to come back to you when the time is right for them or that you can be following up with. So that was the biggest thing. I decided that I was going to do some income producing activity every single day. And that activity was really simple. It was just to invite a minimum, absolute minimum of 2 people a day to check out our opportunity.
And that's really what separates people that kind of do a bit here and there and people that are consistent, and therefore it compounds and compounds, doesn't it? And minimum of 2 a day, as Dan says, a minimum, it may not sound very much. You think, well, what difference is 2 going to make? But put that over a year, it's 700 and something, and obviously more because you're not stopping it too. You know, can you imagine if you and all of your team were just doing that 2 a day, but every day for a year. Like the effect that has is incredible. And I know that you read, wasn't it the book, wasn't it the Compound Effect? Was it the one that you? Oh no, the Consistency Chain was the
It
one.
was.
Yes.
Yeah, and I read that, and it talked about getting a calendar, like a wall calendar. I'm looking at one here, so you can see the full year in front of you. And it talked about putting a cross in every box that you do your 2 a day, or you do your consistency chain action. The idea is, it took me ages to get why it was called consistency chain. It's because you're creating a chain of your consistency. People are like, yeah, obviously. Well, the penny didn't drop for me straight away. But I did that, so it was visual. It was in front of me. And once you've been consistent for 20 days, you do not want to drop the ball and not be consistent on day 21.
Yeah. I've popped it in the chat box there. It's called The Consistency Chain. It's a great book. You can get it from knowledgeisking.co.uk. You said there were some other things that you did that you changed to really start making consistency and activity your thing and UW your thing. What other things were there?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, because there's a great lesson in this as well for those that are really listening. So we talk very often in this business about association. We become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And, where we're all going to be in the future is determined largely by the books we read, the audios we listen to, and the people that we meet. And I had the very good fortune back around 2021 of meeting a very special gentleman who's on the call this evening. So many of you will know him. His name's Stefan Longworth. He's a national network leader, 1-star in UW, which for the new people means he earns a lot of money. I believe he gets paid on about 140,000 group customers, something like that, but don't quote me on that. And I remember he used to run these meetings in Manchester. Now, that was about 2 hours drive from me with traffic, and then 2 hours back. And he'd run them in an evening. It'd always be a Wednesday evening. So I remember, me and Amy, we used to get off work early, stop what we was doing early, head over to Manchester and go to these meetings. And at one of the meetings, there was a raffle for charity. You could buy tickets, and my raffle ticket came out. I was the lucky winner, and I won a personal development book. Now, it wasn't a great personal development book, but inside the cover of it, in this like capital letter writing, like it had been written by your left hand if you're right-handed. In the front cover of this book, it says you win 1 hour's free one-to-one coaching, and I recognised the writing. It was Stefan's writing. So I had his number in my phone. I'd never rang him. I wouldn't have been brave enough to. But I texted him and say, hey, Steph, I was at your Lion Arts team meeting the other night and I won this in the raffle. I've won an hour's free one-to-one coaching. And he texted me back. He said, okay, we can either do an hour one-to-one Zoom call or come over to Manchester. I'll take you out. And I thought, and now looking back, I know that was a bit of a test. Because the easy thing, some of you might think, wow, blimey, I'm at work, I've got the family, I've got all this going on. I'm not travelling, going to meet this guy. I'll do a Zoom call because it's easy. I can do it from home in my slippers. But I thought, no, I'm going to show that I'm serious. And I went over and met him. I dressed all smart with a shirt and a jacket because I wanted him to know I was serious. And we spent about 2 hours together. He bought me some lunch. And Stefan began to share some key strategies and principles with me, over that meeting. And I guess we developed a relationship, over the next year or so. What me and Amy actually used to do, he was running these like small trainings, like these sort of mastermind trainings, that were about 2 hours drive there, 2 hours drive back from our house. And he used to run them every fortnight. So what we used to do is travel there every fortnight. Again, there's a bit of a lesson in this. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I guess that showed Stefan that I was serious. But we started to spend some one-to-one time together. And over a series of meetings, a series of conversations, he coached me in some key strategies for this business. And ultimately, by putting those into practice, it's helped us get where we are today. So it's on the call this evening, but I just want to say thank you, Stefan, because you're an amazing friend, you're an amazing man. I know you're an inspiration to so many of us, and wow, you've just helped me and Amy change our lives immensely, and we'll forever be indebted and grateful to you. So thank you. We love you loads. So association is the big one. Yeah.
Now, so that's an interesting one because association can be positive or negative.
Yeah, and
positive association there, but I guess you also need to rid yourself of associations that aren't serving you.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak really honestly and candidly because, well, that's just me. But prior to this, when I was struggling in UW, I was a bit naive in this. I always heard about this association thing and you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I thought that it just meant if you hang around with other people doing UW, that's like positive association. I was only young, so I was maybe a little bit more naive. Now, I was hanging around with people that were nice, but they didn't have an interest in climbing our marketing plan. They was kind of dining out on what they'd achieved historically and didn't have an interest in pushing forwards. So that's what changed for me, my association. And honestly, that's one of the best pieces of advice that I would give people on this call. Be really mindful who you're spending time with. And I heard this phrase recently. I absolutely love it. You can either join the winner's circle or you can join the winer's circle. So you can hang around with people that are committed to making this a success, people that talk positively and excitedly about the future and where they're going to be down the road and how incredible this opportunity is and the action that they're going to take. Or you can hang around with people who are like, oh, nobody I speak to is joining. It's really hard, this. I've done 10 appointments. Everybody says no. Oh, my life's so tough. So choose really, really carefully who you spend time with because you become like the people that you associate with and spend the most time with. And if you're speaking negatively around other people in UW, you have absolutely no right to pour your doubt, your fear, your scarcity into somebody else's business because you just don't know their financial situation and how much they may need this opportunity for them and their family. And if you're around people that are speaking like that, then I might be sounding a bit direct, but you owe it to yourself and your family to just politely walk away and distance yourself. If I'm at an event and people start talking negative around me, I just drift away, or I find a polite excuse and I just leave because you've got to protect your vision in this opportunity like it's worth millions and millions of pounds because it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's people in the business, but it's also out the business as well. I mean, I don't want this to come across like we're preaching to you as who you should spend, who you need to spend time with in your social life, family life, or anything else like that. But I mean, I had this myself when I joined at 20 and, 21 or whatever. And by the time I had this realization that I had friends that were my friends before the business who were still my friends once I joined it, but they would spend a lot of the time on a Friday night or Saturday night when I was going for a curry or a beer with them, basically taking the piss out of me, really, like going, Wes thinks he's going to be successful, Wes thinks he's going to be this, and I was like laughing along with it, but I eventually realised these people aren't serving me anymore, and it's not serving me to be around them, and so eventually just stopped hanging out with them as much. And then occasionally, if I did see them, they'd go, "Oh, Wes has got his new personal development friends. Wes has got his new," and all that stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And you sometimes have to make those decisions that as to who you allow to infiltrate your headspace. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly. And you're probably earning a month now what they earn in a year. So who's?
I don't like to say that to but yeah,
it's all right. I said it.
You said it. Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Something else you did, I know, and I think this is a really important point, was you you changed we all have different priorities in life, and for some people, their job or their business is a 10 or a 9, and UW might be down in the 2s or 3s. It's a bit of fun on the side, and if that's all you want it to be, then that's okay as well. But you had a serious look at that, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And priorities is so important. If everything's your priority, then nothing's your priority. So, we made this like as our number one priority. We decided that we were gonna pay the price now to then have the freedom and the money and the choices down the road. And that's the thing, we can either pay the price now to be able to then play later, or you can do what most people tend to do and you can play now and then pay for it down the road. So, if succeeding in this business is really important to you, then, it's important to make it a priority. And if it's a priority, that will be obvious to anybody that looks at your calendar, that looks at your diary. Don't say your business is a priority and you're not in the room at Power Up, because that's just not being truthful and honest with yourself. Don't say your business is a priority, if you've not got 5 to 10 appointments in the diary for the week ahead to show people the benefits of our opportunity and the benefits of our services. So, yeah, it's making it a priority. And we decided that, look, to make it a priority, I have to say no to some other things. Because, like I say, if everything's a priority, then nothing's a priority. So for us, we made some sacrifices, we made some trade-offs because we understood the value of this and what we could create down the road. And it was putting short-term pleasure, it was putting our long-term priority and where we wanted to be in the future ahead of what we wanted in the short term, but isn't that like anything? If you were opening up a conventional business on the high street, you'd probably be working 7 days a week for the first year and probably not even paying yourself a salary. You might not even be making any money out of it yet. If you was wanting to get into, sport at an elite level, you'd have to pay a price and make sacrifices, wouldn't you? So it's like success in anything. There's a price to be paid and there's some trade-offs and sacrifices to be made in the short term. But, oh my gosh, to say it's so worth it is an understatement. Like, if knowing what I know now, I would have made even more sacrifices and trade-offs because it's unbelievably worth it.
Mm-hmm. And, Dan, obviously, you and Amy are new parents, as are Steve and I. We have a 7-month-old, you have a 4-month-old, I think. And, we're both kind of realising that we're still on paternity leave and we'll be for the next 17 and a half years or something. And I think that, that's very hard for people to process. But that is a reality, and I think it's just so important people understand. No matter where you are in the business right now, as you have proven, everything can look very different a year from now. But something has to change. So what would you say to anyone that's listening right now who maybe feels stuck and they think, oh, okay, I think this is just, I'll just paddle at UW. I'll just dip my toes in occasionally because that's all that's right for me.
Yeah. So if you feel stuck right now, I would make a decision that you're going to become unstuck, and that you're going to take this seriously. And I would ask yourself what you really want out of this, not what you think you can achieve, but what you really want. If everything was to fall into place for you, what do you really want to achieve in this business? Because when you know what you want and you have a vision as to a future that you want to create, you're willing to put the work in, you're willing to pay the price, you're willing to push through the obstacles and the setbacks and the frustrations. So I'd get really clear on what it is you want to achieve, why is it that you're doing this. And if you have a why or a reason, but you're not taking the action steps in your business to build your business and move forwards, then maybe your why isn't really your why. So sometimes, people have a reason that sounds very good and you might think, oh, that sounds really great, or it's really noble, or it's lovely. But, people say you need a why that makes you cry. I don't know how true that is. I think you need a why that motivates you and drives you to take the action. And if your current why isn't doing that, I would really do some reevaluating and thinking about why you're doing this business and what you want to achieve. And then once you know where you're going, once you've made that decision that you're going to take it serious, the next thing that comes is taking the action. So going and speaking to more people than you've ever spoken to before. Does everybody in your phone book know what it is that you do? Or not? Have you kind of just mentioned it rather than shown them properly? So make a decision, get clear on what you want, but then the key is going and taking all-out massive action. But why that's really clear in that order, by getting clear on what you want, you're taking intentional action. I don't know if anybody else has ever done this, but something I used to do prior to 2021, I'd do my reach out messages, or I'd make the calls or send the voice notes or what have you, but I was just going through the motions. I was just doing it to tick it off and say that I'd done it, like I've done my activity. But when you're clear of what you want and where you're going, your action becomes intentional. So you start showing up differently. People get a sense that you're going places and they want to come with you. So that'll be my advice to anybody who's feeling stuck.
Mm-hmm. When you decided to start talking to more people, or messaging or reaching out, where did you find these people? Like what were you doing? What were you doing differently to find these people? What started thing was it that you started doing? Networking or neighbor letters or more on social media? Like, where was it that you were starting to find these people to reach out to?
Yeah, so a mixture of everything. So I don't do neighbor letters. If people want to do it, then that's great, but it's not my cup of tea personally. So for me, they reckon by the age of 21, they reckon that the average 21-year-old knows about 500 people by name or by face. So what I did when I really got serious is I made a contact list. I emptied my mind onto paper with everybody that I knew. And this is a really good tip. We give this top tip to people in our team. Buy yourself like a hardback book. Yes, you can use My Planner on the partner portal, but you might introduce somebody this is not an age, well, it is a little bit, I don't mean to generalise, but you might introduce somebody to UW who's like 81, they've got a massive network and they're really hungry, but they might not be able to use My Planner on the portal, whereas anybody can make a list on paper, can't they? So I got myself a hardback book and I emptied my mind onto paper with everybody that I knew, literally everybody. And sometimes, people join this business and they make a list, but really they only write down 20 people. But that's not properly making a list. And they say, I spoke to everybody, I know, what do I do now? So I emptied my mind onto paper with everybody that I knew, because we have something incredible. We have an opportunity here, a lifeline, the best income opportunity in the UK that people can do around their job, where they can start for just £10 and they can turn 45 minutes of Netflix time in an evening into £250, as well as building a royalty residual income that's going to give them choices in the future. So I believe we owe it to people that we know to share this opportunity with them. And obviously the people that you know, you've already got that trust and rapport with them, they know you. So for me, your own personal contact list is absolutely amazing. It's your most valuable asset, your most valuable resource in this business. The number one thing that holds people back from reaching out to their contact list, and they make things up like I've already spoken to everybody or they wouldn't be interested, is fear. People are worried about what other people might think of them. But you've kind of just got to get over that, because other people's opinions don't pay your bills. Other people's opinions aren't going to put your children or grandchildren through private education. Other people's opinions aren't going to help your family go on a holiday once a month rather than once a year. So reaching out to people you know is key. And then from there, ways of adding to that contact list. So for us, like, for example, social media, it can be a good tool if it's used effectively. And in combination with other things, you don't just want to rely on it. And then the key is helping other people work their list. Because if you introduce a new partner, that they come to the table with a list of, let's say, 500 people that they know, it's working with that new person and helping them to share this opportunity with their network. So yeah, that and we lead with the opportunity, because if you lead with the opportunity, even if people say no to that, they may become a customer anyway. And it's a really good thing to have in this business. Have a little phrase. I call it like a turning phrase that turns a conversation around. If someone says no to the opportunity, you want a way of flipping it around to the savings. So I just say, look, that's absolutely fine. Time is the most important thing. I've nicked that from somebody. And I understand that the timing's not right now for you to get started with us, but it makes sense to at least have a look at the savings, doesn't it? Or I bet you want to have a look at how much you can save, don't you? So if people say no to being a partner, you can still help them become a customer. But we lead with the opportunity, and we keep it really simple. So, hey Wes, it's Dan, random message. I've been meaning to ask you this for a while. I don't suppose you keep your income options open to side projects if the money's exciting enough. Simple as that, Or the one I really love is what we call the indirect approach. I can see Billy Brass on the call, and I know Billy lives in Scotland. He's always on the call with his camera on. There's a clue there. And if Billy's on my list, I might message him and say, hey, Billy, you're still living up in Scotland. Wondered if you might be able to help me with something. He comes back, yeah, Dan, yeah, I'm still living up there. Oh, great, my business is expanding in that area at the moment. I don't suppose you know anybody that would benefit from an extra £1,000 to £2,000 a month alongside what they're already doing. Billy can say, no, I don't know anyone. What he really means is I'm not looking right now for something. It's the politest no you'll ever get. He doesn't even know that I've prospected him. He might say, yes, me. How does it work? Give me some info. That really means he's interested. Or number 3, he might give you a referral. But if you go with the indirect approach, it's rejection free. No one can really say no to you. All they can say is, I can't think of anybody. So those are just some really simple ways of opening conversations, because I know people will be thinking, well, that's all well and good, but what do you say? Have you got this script or what have you? But, that just keeping it simple. Not being a weirdo and talking about gas and electric and just keeping it super simple.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's the thing that, for 28 years now has kind of frustrated me when people say, yeah, but what do you actually say? And then when you tell them, they're almost underwhelmed. They're like, oh, that's relatively simple then. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you. But no, that's really interesting to hear. And I know that you said about social media is something to do in combination, because I think you kind of take the approach that social media can be a good place to find people to then build relationships with, but you don't build the team on social media.
No, this business is about building relationships, and you can't really do that on social media. So all social media it's a list building tool. It's just a way of finding more contacts and reaching out and speaking to more people. That's what it's about. It's about getting somebody off who's online, getting them offline to having a conversation or reviewing a tool. That's the key. And if you use it well, it can be a really good way of, finding more prospects. Maybe if you've been in the business, 12 months, you've already got 50 customers or what have you, because you've worked your list properly, you might go to social media to kind of find additional ways to add to your list.
Yeah, and when you say use a tool, you're talking about things like the UW stories or the Buzz, maybe the Buzz presentation or a Teams Zoom opportunity presentation, all things that people are kind of already doing right now. One thing that I had spotted, and then someone reminded me a couple of days ago, is that if you go on to Dan's Facebook page, and I guarantee you, by the way, if you do, and you all try and friend him, he probably won't add you, because no disrespect, Dan doesn't need loads of UW friends. to build his UW business. He's looking for people outside of that. I'm speaking for you there, Dan. You might say, no, I want more UW friends. But anyway.
Thank you. Well, I'm at a friends limit, so I can't because I can't have any more Facebook friends. But you can follow me if you want. That's absolutely fine.
But you know, on your social, I know that you're good at kind of recognising people in the team and talking about their achievements and talking about the fact that they're, you know, a nurse in their main job, or, you know, a teacher or whatever else it might be. And you show kind of lifestyle stuff around you and Amy and Harriet. But also at the top of your kind of Facebook, if you look at your Facebook page, you've kind of saved, I can't even remember what people, I'm not cool enough to know what it's called, pinned, I think it is, at the top, you doing a relatively short presentation on basically how the money works. And I remember you do, it might even be like 2 years old now. I don't know if you've updated it, but I feel like that's a really interesting, like, it's because it's there. People can't then miss it. So if people are thinking, who's this Dan? Or if you're meeting people at the parents, like those parents classes that we were both talking about that we went to, and they check you out, it's there. It's loud and proud. You're not hiding what it is and what's open to people. Is that right?
But yeah, 100%. And it doesn't say utility warehouse or anything like that. Not because that's something that I don't want people to know, but the intention is I want people to have a conversation with me. You know, I don't want them to go on utility warehouse, read all the information, and then make a decision that it's not for them based on a pre-assumption. You know, I want to have a conversation. So yeah, that's on my on my Facebook profile. It's pinned at the top deliberately so that if I add somebody as a friend, for example, the first thing they see when they look at my profile is that. And every now and again, I get people message me and say, "Hey, I've just watched your pinned video on your Facebook. Can I have more information?" Now, if they've watched that and they've messaged me, they're probably almost certainly going to join because they know a little bit about what it is that I do. So it describes the opportunity without telling them everything, if that makes sense. It's giving them enough information just to pique their interest and get them to want to reach out. So yeah, you're right. But I don't mention the company name. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say it. UW produced some lovely, for us, lovely looking social media. I shouldn't say that. UW produced some lovely social media assets. All the purple with all the logos on and all that sort of stuff. In my opinion, that is not best shared on your personal Facebook profile because your friends know you. They don't know a UW infographic, you know, and it makes it look like an advert. You can turn your Facebook into like a purple billboard. So it's about using social media in a way that's relatable for you. Like the graphs, for example, that are on the portal at the moment about energy prices. In case nobody's worked this out yet, they are for us to understand what's going on. They are not to put on Facebook because people don't generally log into Facebook to look at graphs. You're like, you know, most people left graphs behind in, I don't know, GCSE maths. They don't want to come on Facebook and look at one, do they? So be mindful of what you're sharing, essentially.
Well, I also think people don't log on to Facebook thinking, I really hope one of my friends is selling energy.
No.
They're thinking, I wonder if Michael and Sarah have got divorced yet, or I wonder if, you know, what so-and-so's wedding was like, or what, you know what I mean? Like, you know, look at some football things, or whatever, dog pictures. I don't think they're looking for one of their friends to sell them gas. And I think that's why it's so important, the way that we put ourselves across on social media. If I or anyone else was to follow Dan Holmes around for a week, what would we see that's different to what most people are doing?
I'll make the most of the minutes in every single day to put into UW. So, and I'll give you a little example. So we was at the start of February, there was some SGL and GL days. Now, they were quite busy days of like training, and we got like short little breaks in between it. On the SGL day, I recruited 3 people. On the GL day, I recruited 3 people, but I was in a room most of the day. But I made the most of the breaks, the coffee breaks, the lunch break, rather than chatting, you know, and just catching up with people. I use that as an opportunity to do some reach outs and to speak to people and follow up with people. So it's making the most, even when you think you're busy. I guarantee you there will be minutes in your day where you can do some income producing activity. So that's something that you'd see me do. And what was the question again?
Okay, it was a good one. I was so pleased with it. I forgot. No, I was saying,
So-
if we followed you around for a week, what would we see you doing differently to kind of most people?
Yeah, so just speaking to lots of people, and speaking to people in the team, catching up with people, getting on the phone with them. Communication's absolutely key. Don't sort of introduce someone and leave them to their own devices. It's really important that you're supporting and mentoring and nurturing the people that you're bringing on board as well. So, yeah, that's probably what you'd say.
So let's talk about helping people get started, because you and your team have got a really good success level. I can't think what the number would be, but good ratio of people getting to QD Star in their first month, getting that up to £2,000 of bonuses and stuff like that. What do you guys do differently to help people get started?
Yeah, so this business is all about your standards and expectation, and you will rise or fall to the level of your standards. So if your expectation of a new partner is low, they will probably meet that expectation. So, and then what I mean by that in our team, I'll give you an example. So we set the expectation. So we have this QD Star bonus. All that means is you've got 6 customers and a partner with a customer. When you get to that, you get a £500 bonus on top of everything else. And earning that with the customer bonuses is going to put about £2,000 in your pocket in your first 30 days. Now, Wes, we work with a really generous company, and they give people 30 days to do that. So no matter how time challenged someone might be, everyone can achieve that. But what most new partners are doing, Wes, is they're achieving that within the first 10 to 14 days, just so that it's done, so that it's out of the way. So, let's get that in the bag for you in the first 2 weeks. Because you know what, Wes? The last 3 people that I've supported, they all got their QD Star £500 Fast Start bonus in the last 2 weeks as well. So you're not setting the 30 days as the as like the deadline, because let's help them get there sooner. It's totally doable. It's 6 customers and a partner. There's people in the team that I'm sure you guys have got people in your team doing it as well. Like, people do that sometimes in a couple of days, because why let it take all month? Let's help them get to TL by the end of the month, not QD Star. But that all starts with you setting that standard, setting that expectation right from the get-go, because your new partners don't know what is normal or what is not normal, and it's up to you to set the standard. So that's one thing we massively do. We have a big culture about everybody gets this, because everybody that follows the system and puts the work in does. And in this team, we get people doing it in 10 to 14 days, and that creates that speed and that urgency early on in their journey. And they, if they want, they can do it at their own pace after that. However, what most people do is they decide they want to carry on doing it with that intensity because it's exciting. They've earned a load of money, and they can turn around to the partner who was a bit sceptical and say, well, I know you've had to do a few more bedtimes with the kids, but, I'm 2 weeks in and I've earned £2,500. So it gets the support of the partner as well, because they've earned some really good money fast.
This is something that I think has been said before, and people will let it often pass over them. It is so important, that standard that you're setting people, that you're making it the norm. You're making it the expectation and the norm that, we get QD Star in 10 to 14 days. That's kind of the norm here. And then when it happens, you make sure everybody hears about it, so that everybody else is thinking, oh, yeah, it really is the norm. It's happening all the time. And I think it's great. What is there anything specific you guys are doing with people to help them work their list?
So anything specific? So we really focus on working your contact list. That is how we do it. That's how we build, because you've got the trust and rapport with those people. If people won't work with their contact list, to me that's a lack of belief. Because if you really, really believed in what you had your hands on here, I mean, we have 2 electric cars at home, so I don't know much about petrol and petrol prices, but it's in the news at the moment, isn't it, about petrol going up? I don't know, if the garage round the corner from you was doing a flash sale of petrol and it was 50 pence a litre, you know, would you call your mum, dad, your brother to go and fill your car up there? Or would you join a Facebook group of strangers and do a post about it? Of course you bloody wouldn't. You'd speak to your family, the people that you cared about, wouldn't you? And that's like this with this business. We've got something here so immensely powerful, so special. We want to share this with people that we know, because you just don't know who you know who is really looking for an opportunity. So we start with people that you know. What I was saying about standards, that doesn't just stop with the QD Star thing. You know, that's a really big thing, I would say, within our team. We do have really high standards, and you get to decide the standard in your own team. You know, it's you that decides this one day, and then it becomes reality. You know, like you literally create the reality of your team by the standards you dictate, and not dictate, but the standards you shape and that you decide. So, you know, when somebody gets to QD Star, we don't even talk about SQD or FTL. It's like, right, you're QD Star now, your next goal is team leader, you're going to pick up another £750 in bonuses along the way. This is what you need to go and do it. You can get there in any time frame that you want. And I always say, look, the fastest person in our team from joining did it in 26 days. So it's up to you to decide how fast you want to do it. And along the way, getting to team leader and all the rest of it, you know, they're going to earn some serious money.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's a saying that we probably both heard Art Jonak say at Mastermind about, isn't it, show me your calendar and I'll show you your future. How true would you say that is for you and, you know, the culture you've built?
Oh, so true. Yeah, you know, it's so important, because that's what this business comes down to, you know, calendar appointments in the diary. So true. And speaking of calendar, obviously in 3 weeks' time, you know, we've got this big event coming up, Power Up. And for the new people, oh my gosh, I'm excited for you guys going to this for the first time, because there's going to be like 5,000 people from all across the UK, literally all corners of the country, coming together for one day of inspiration, learning, training, motivation. You're going to hear from some of the top achievers in the company who are going to be sharing their secrets with you, and there's going to be some new announcements. And we spoke about calendar, and we were speaking about priorities. You know, if you're serious about making a success of UW, then, oh my gosh, you need to be in that room at Power Up. It is a non-negotiable. Like, it is so important. Because there's some stuff coming, you know, that we've had kind of the inside track on, and you are going to want to be in that room on Saturday the 18th of April, aren't you?
100%, yeah, and there are, from what I understand, less than 270 tickets now. So it's not, you know, we're at the point where there might be a week's worth of tickets or something, and then it's kind of done. When you're at events, I've seen it at Power Up, and this is before you were SGL or NGL or anything like that. I've seen it at Power Up, and I just mentioned Mastermind there. I see it at Mastermind. You're always in the front row. What's that about? Why are you so intent to be near the front and learning that way?
That's where the excitement is. You want to sit on the front row, and you know, my mentor and great friend Stefan Longworth, he taught me that years ago. You know, he said you want to sit at the front, and he was always there. And I thought, yeah, and I sat at the front for the first few times, and I thought, yeah, I can see why this is better, because that's where the energy is, that's where the excitement is. People who sit there are excited about the day, you know, and if you sit at the front, you know, your team want to sit at the front as well. So
I mean, there are probably only like 40 seats in the front row, and we're talking to like 700 people here. So it's not always, but I think there is more about, this is more about the fact that you are showing, it's like you are showing up intentionally, aren't you? You're there to learn, and you want to be near the front to do that.
Yeah, and it's that association. I cotton on early that hang on, the other people at the front, they've all got really big businesses and they're all doing amazing in UW. And, you know, you get chatting to them and strike up a conversation and asking them stuff. You know, I saw that, you know, I wanted to be sitting around people like that I could kind of speak to and stuff. So yeah, that's sort of one of our commitments. But I think sometimes we talk about the importance of showing up to events, but sometimes it's how you show up. So you know, being early, getting there. If you're going to, I don't know, a team training, you know, getting there early to ask the people who are setting it up if they want any help. This is what me and Amy used to do when we went over to these trainings with Steph. Sometimes we'd be there before him. And he lived 2 miles away, but we'd be there and we'd help him carry stuff from the car, just so then you've got that like 5 minutes where you might be able to pick the brains and ask them something. So if you're going to a training, get there early, help the people set up, you know, get your face known. If you're going to an event, sit near the front as well. That's where the energy's at. If you're like something we're big on in our team, this comes back to standards again. You know, we're big on dressing for success because first impressions count. I remember when I had my first corporate job years ago, somebody told me there, dress for the job you want. And it's a bit like in UW, dress for the position on our marketing plan that you want. Now, me and Amy, you know, when we weren't doing so great, back at the start of like 2021, mid-2021, we always dressed like we were doing the training, even when we was just coming to the training, because that we knew we wanted to be there. And you know, in business, first impressions count. And I've been over obviously to the mastermind event, which you're part of, and the speakers on the stage there. You know, there you see them. You know, all these top earners, gazillionaires. They're all looking sharp, dressed for success, and you know, they say success leaves clues.
Mm-hmm. And you came, didn't you, 3 years ago? I think probably on your own, and then you came with a few of your team, and I think this year you're coming with, I don't know, 70 or 60 or 100 or something of your team, aren't you?
Yeah, and look, I went to this mastermind event very last minute 3 years ago, and I was quite skeptical about it, but I thought I'll come over on my own. I'll come and check this out and see what it's all about. I didn't promote it to any of my team. I didn't even tell them I was going. But I thought I'll come over there, check it out and see what it's like. And I was amazed at what I heard. I was amazed at the caliber of speakers, the content that I got, but also I was amazed at the integrity of the event and sort of everything that it stood for. And, you know, yeah, the following year we took some of the leaders, we promoted it. The following year we took even more. And this year, yeah, we're going to have, I think it's going to be about 100 people or something there from the team. So, yeah.
Now you said that, I can see Ramdat sitting there, like, punching the sofa, because he might be like 3 behind you or something. He's like, there's no way that Dan Holmes is having more there. He's going to be good red there. Dan, last couple of things, if I may. Dealing with disappointment. I remember... Actually, I think I remember Amy, your wife Amy, when she come on here. She's not just your wife; she's also a senior group leader in the business. I think she talked about the fact that you have taught yourself to deal with disappointment better than most people. You just understand that it's sometimes part of the journey. That some people let you down, some people don't answer the phone, some people ghost you, some people join and then disappear. Is that right? Is that as an important feature?
Yeah, 100%. And look, we're all human. I still get disappointed and frustrated now. I was speaking to somebody on the phone about 2 hours ago, and they was giving me every excuse under the sun why they couldn't come to Power Up, you know, and ended up just cutting the conversation a bit short. But I came off the phone and I was a bit like frustrated or disappointed for them that they couldn't see what I was trying to say about how important it was to be there. So, look, we're all human, you know, I get disappointed and frustrated now. But it's learning to turn that disappointment into a 2-second or a 2-minute disappointment, not a 2-week or 2-month or 2-year disappointment where it stops you from speaking to people. So look, we're only human. We're all going to get disappointed and frustrated and pissed off or whatever you want to call it. But it's learning to move on from that. And the best antidote, the best way of overcoming any disappointment is just picking up that phone and speaking to somebody else. It really, really is. Because if you sort of end on that, you're going to dwell on it and think about it. So it's just picking up that phone and speaking to other people. And just learn to be fascinated by this stuff. I mean, like when somebody quits, like when somebody gets to QD Star and they've earned $2,000 and they're showing all the signs of promise, and then they fall off the face of the earth, or they tell you that they're packing it in, or what have you. Learn to just be like, wow, blimey, I thought they were going to do it. They seem good. Learn to just be like fascinated by this stuff, like, because it's a bit like a mystery, isn't it? We just never know, and I quite like that mystery of it, finding out who's going to do it and who's not. So I guess don't have the expectation that everybody's going to say yes, or everybody that joins is going to do something, or everybody that does something is going to keep going. And then just be fascinated rather than frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, last thing, I'm going to share a photo with you. I don't want to make you emotion, but I'm going to have to show it on my phone. But Amy and Harriet have been up watching you this evening. I don't know if you know. They've been in another room watching you, proving that your Wi-Fi broadband is strong enough to hold 2 connections in a night, which is amazing.
But BT broadband, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Is it BT or Aldi broadband? I'm not sure which one you're on there.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a cheaper deal than UW, so...
yeah, of course, yeah. By the way, in case you're...
By the way, yeah, we are joking, like as if you wouldn't be a customer for other services.
I mean, it's lovely to see that photo there. Tell us, just, in closing, all the effort, all the frustrations that come with it, the disappointments, the ups and downs, and all those, the being fascinated, as you say. Is it worth it?
Oh, do you know, it is so unbelievably worth it. And until you are at where you want to be in this business, or until you achieve that time and money freedom or that financial success, whatever it is you want out of this opportunity, it is unbelievably worth it. Every bit of hard work, every sacrifice, every trade-off, all the work that we put in, all of the no's, the rejection, people taking the mickey, it is so unbelievably worth it. And I would urge everybody to go and answer that question for themselves over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, because you'll see for yourself that it is unbelievably worth it. There is not an opportunity out there in the UK, internationally, that is anything like what we have our hands on. The income that we can earn, even the income that you can earn as a new person, the income that you can earn as a new NGL, the income you can earn as an NNL or an SGL, it is incredible, while having the time freedom to go with it as well. So my message to everybody would be, take this opportunity seriously, make it a priority, speak to more people than ever before, make a decision that you're really going to get serious about this business, and make the most of the opportunity we have right now, because people out there are hurting, people are looking for a second income, and we have the UK's best second income opportunity out there. And you are not going to look back in years to come and think, I wish I had a smaller business, I wish I had a smaller residual income, and I wish I was earning less money and I had less time freedom and I went on less holidays. You're not going to think that down the road. But some people on here this evening may look down the road at the success of Utility Warehouse and wish that they took it more seriously, and wish that they made it a priority, and wish that they spoke to more people. So do you and your family, your future bank balance a massive favour. Let's make this business a priority, and let's go and share this incredible income opportunity with as many people as possible, and you'll be so unbelievably grateful, glad that you did.
Well, that's a great way to end. I can't really top that, other than to say, Dan, credit to you. I know how hard it is to do it. in your 20s, and you've really done it. It's been absolutely incredible to see that journey. I'm looking forward to having you on here as a new national network leader. I'm going to suspect it's not before you're 30, because you've only got a couple of months before that, but certainly, in pretty short order, and many of your team and lots of other people on here as well over the coming years. And, just true credit to you for the business that you've built, the team that you've built. And one of my favourite sayings is that kind of money and success doesn't change people, but it reveals them. And in you, it's revealed a genuinely nice, down-to-earth, humble guy that treats people how you'd like to be treated, but sets a fine example for everyone that wants to be successful. So, Dan, congratulations again to you and all your team. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to open the chat now, so if people want to put a comment on to thank you for your efforts and congratulate you, then please do. It's been a great evening tonight. It's been great to have you with us, Dan. Thank you for everything you've shared, and we look forward to seeing everyone here next week on the Big Night In for another great night. Dan, thank you very much for having us.
Thanks, Wes. Thanks for everything you do as well.
For 20 years,